What's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel for another episode on this Salvage 2013 Fiat 500 Abarth project, where today I'm going to continue with the bodywork and I'm going to get this thing painted. So give you a quick recap on this project just in case you're not familiar with it, but we need to realize something first. This is a true automotive enthusiast channel and there's no telling what you'll see here. So if you consider yourself to be a true automotive enthusiast, then consider clicking that subscribe button so you can follow along with everything that I do. Now previously we had started on the bodywork, we started some of the prep work on the hood and the door. Now it's time to move on to the fenders and start doing the bodywork. We're going to finish up all the bodywork on the door, hood, and the fenders, and we're going to paint all this stuff and get it nice and glossy back to white like the factory finish. So now I'm on the body filler stage and I'm working on the fenders. Now this area right here is the only little area that we need to address. We need to put a little bit of filler in there. I've kind of hammered it out and got it to where it needs to be. And over here on the passenger side, we had this one little spot back here in the back where this was all dented in, and it was all dented in here. And I've took out the inner fender liner and brought it back out and got it pretty close to where it needs to be. I just need to do a little bit of filler work there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do the filler work while it's on the car. It makes it a lot easier because the fender is being held in place and I don't have to worry about it on the fender stand sliding around while I'm trying to sand on it. So the filler's on, we're going to let it set up and we're going to come back and sand it, and I'm going to show you a few little tricks that I use when I'm doing filler work. And one of those tricks is to use this guide coat on top of the filler before you start sanding. Now you've probably seen me do this before on the Bentley front bumper cover where I repaired it, and it works pretty good. Now what this allows you to do is to see all your highs and lows, and what this will keep you from doing is sanding your filler off, having to put more on there, sanding it off, creating a bunch of highs and lows, and having to do a bunch of priming. This cuts a lot of the steps out and it works really well. For the next part of the trick, I got some more guide coat on there and I'm going to sand it down with 180 grit sandpaper. So I've got it sanded down with 180, and I got one other little trick up my sleeve so you can check this bodywork before you go any further, and that is the water hose. You can take water and spray over your bodywork and that'll simulate a clear coat, and you can see exactly how straight your bodywork is. And if you look, it looks pretty good. And on the passenger side, let's take a look and see how straight this side is. Oh yeah, that's going to turn out nice. So the next step is to get these areas in primer, and to do that I'm going to take them off of the car. It's going to make it a lot easier for me. Well, my plans changed just a little bit now. I was going to pull the fenders off of this thing and prime them and paint them off of the car, but the wonderful engineers over at Fiat decided, hey, not only do we need 8 bolts to hold this little tiny fender on, we need to panel bond it and to seam seal it to the car to make it impossible to take off. So I'm just going to leave it on the car and paint it and prime it that way. But that's going to create a lot more work because now I've got to tape up the entire car. Here we have the hood taped up, we have the door taped up, and we have the car taped up. So now the only thing left to do is spray some primer. So the hood is finished, it's in primer, and the door's in primer, and both fenders, and they turned out really nice. Now I'm going to need to let this dry, and then I'm going to come back and do a wet sand, and it should be ready to paint after that. Now while I'm waiting for the primer to dry, I'm going to continue on with the project, and I have this wheel off, and what I'm going to do is, while I have it off, I'm going to clean it, and I'm going to clean it with this stuff here. Now this is sent over to me from the guys over at Super Clean, all-wheel cleaner. We're going to try this out and see how well it works. And there you have it, one clean wheel. Now this stuff worked really well, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. And as you can see, it's a lot cleaner than it was. It got all that road grime, all that tar, all that brake dust off of that wheel. And once again, I want to say thank you once again to Super Clean for sending this stuff over. I really appreciate it. If you want to clean your wheels, this is definitely the stuff to use. Now it's been a little while since I worked on this project, but you can see I have the final piece here. Now this is the brand new bumper cover from the Fiat dealership. It took me a little while to get this thing. It was on back order, but as you can see, I do have it, and I do already have it prepped and ready for paint. I also have the door ready for paint. I have the fenders and the hood ready for paint also. So I've been out here working for about 4 hours, getting all this stuff prepped up and ready for paint. And lo and behold, look outside here, look at these clouds. We have a big storm coming, and this is pretty typical of every weekend that I try to do something. And there you can hear the thunder, and that means that we'll probably just have to hold off and wait till tomorrow to spray this paint. So it's the next day, and I got everything set up and ready to go. So let's get to spraying some sealer, some base coat, and some clear coat. And here's the materials that I'm going to be spraying. Now we've got the Shopline white epoxy sealer primer. We have our Deltron base coat, and we have our Value Pro clear. First, we're going to start off with the Shopline epoxy primer sealer, and we're going to coat all of our parts, and then we're going to blend in with the base coat, and then we're going to coat everything with a nice slick coat of clear coat. So I've got everything sprayed and everything turned out really well. I'm really happy with the way this paint laid out. And as you can see, it's nice, glossy, and slick. Everything seems to turn out pretty well. Now I'm going to need to let this dry overnight, and then we'll come back and we'll untape all this stuff and really get a good look at it, get it out in the sun. But I think all this stuff's going to turn out pretty well. I'm happy with the bodywork. I'm happy with the paint, and I can't wait to get this thing back together. With the paint bodywork stage complete, there's not much left to do on this project before completion. So until next time, when we'll start the reassembly process, I'd like to say thank you for watching. If you're not subscribed, be sure you click that subscribe button, click the bell so you'll get the notifications, and you can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram.